Did you know recently an individual who has been associated with Denver Snuffer and his teachings has recently been appointed as the number two civilian leader of the U.S. Air Force? Matthew Loheimer, who has been on Mormon Stories to talk about his association with Denver Snuffer and his teachings, wrote this book in 2001 called Irresistible Revolution. And it's a book that deals with what he thinks is Marxist takeover of the U.S. military. And in 2021, he was actually fired by the Biden administration from the Space Force. Well, this Thursday, the Senate passed him, and so he got approved to serve as the number two civilian leader. This is from military.com. Fired Space Force officer approved to be Air Force number two civilian leader. A former Space Force officer who was booted from the service after making unfounded allegations that Marxism was spreading throughout the military has been confirmed by the Senate to be the Air Force's number two civilian. In a party line vote, the Senate approved Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Loheimer to become the Undersecretary of the Air Force. So this is really an interesting thing to have somebody as high profile as an individual who's been affiliated with Denver Snuffer is now in this very important role in the Trump administration. This again, he actually sent me this book a few years ago, and him and I had some telephone conversations. I never had the opportunity to interview him just because stuff happens, But I just wanted to say what an interesting development that has happened. That this very prominent individual is now part of the Trump administration, is the Undersecretary of the U.S. Air Force. Fascinating times that we live in. And I wonder if people think there's some significance to this as well. Also, just want to remind everybody that the Joseph Smith book drawing is still going on until July 31st, the John G. Turner book. Email me at mormonbookreviews@gmail.com. And to be entered into the contest, just put in the subject heading Joseph Smith or JS biography and give me your full name and address. U.S. residents only. Okay, so what do you think about this, folks? What do you think about an individual who was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? I don't know if he's still formally affiliated with them, but he's definitely has been publicly affiliated with Denver Snuffer and his movement. And again, this is not a church necessarily per se, but it's people who follow the teachings of Denver Snuffer. What do you think about this? Members of that group and also members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. What do you think is the significance of having such a high-ranking person in our government being affiliated with Denver Snuffer? Fascinating stuff. Stay tuned for more.